The stonemasons' legacy, Freemasonry's arrival in America, land of opportunity, land of freedom, a place where dreams are built and the spirit of independence thrives. It's no wonder that this new world became fertile ground for a centuries-old brotherhood to take root, Freemasonry. Freemasonry, with its rich tapestry of history and tradition, found a welcoming home in the American colonies. The Masons, they've been around for a while, their history stretching back to the stonemasons' guilds of medieval Europe. These guilds were more than just groups of workers, they were communities bound by shared knowledge, skills, and a commitment to mutual support. The stonemasons of medieval Europe were the master builders of their time, responsible for the construction of some of the most magnificent cathedrals and castles. Their expertise and secrets were closely guarded, passed down through generations. This tradition of secrecy and skill laid the foundation for what would become modern Freemasonry, but their story in the US of A, that's a tale all its own. Picture this, 1733, Boston, Massachusetts, a bustling colonial town full of promise and potential. It was here that a group of men, tradesmen mostly, decided to form the first Grand Lodge in the colonies. These men were not just builders of stone, but builders of community. They sought to create a space where they could share their knowledge, support one another, and contribute to the betterment of society. From that first lodge in Boston, Freemasonry spread like wildfire, lodges popping up faster than you could say George Washington. And speaking of the big GW, guess what? Yep, he was a Mason. George Washington, the father of our country, was among the many influential figures who found a home in the Masonic lodges. So was Benjamin Franklin, Paul Revere, a whole bunch of founding fathers. These men were not just leaders of a new nation, but also brothers in a fraternity that valued knowledge, integrity, and mutual support. Makes you wonder what those guys were up to in those lodges, right? Well, they were up to quite a bit. They engaged in rituals and ceremonies that were designed to teach moral lessons and strengthen the bonds of brotherhood. But not everyone was thrilled about this secretive society. Now, some folks back then, they weren't too keen on this whole secret society business. Too much whispering behind closed doors. And those rituals, let's just say they sparked some serious side-eye. People were suspicious of what they didn't understand, and the Masons' air of mystery didn't help. But the Masons, they kept on building, both literally and figuratively. They erected halls, funded charities, and generally tried to make their communities better. Their influence was felt in many aspects of American life, from politics to education to social reform. The point is, Freemasonry, from its earliest days in America, has been intertwined with the fabric of this nation. It's a complex history full of contradictions and controversies, but one that deserves a closer look. After all, to understand America, you gotta understand the forces that shaped it. And Freemasonry? Well, it's been one heck of a force. From the construction of iconic buildings to the shaping of political thought, the Masons have left an indelible mark on the American landscape. Their legacy is one of mystery, influence, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge and community. So the next time you pass by a Masonic lodge or see a Masonic symbol, remember the rich history and the profound impact this brotherhood has had on the United States. It's a story of builders, dreamers, and visionaries who helped shape a nation. And those rituals? Let's just say they sparked some serious side-eye. But beyond the mystery and the secrecy, there was a genuine effort to create a better world, one stone at a time. The Masons were not just about building structures, they were about building communities, fostering education, and promoting moral and ethical development. Their contributions to society were significant and far-reaching. They erected halls, funded charities, and generally tried to make their communities better. Their charitable efforts included supporting schools, hospitals, and various community projects, leaving a lasting legacy of goodwill and service. The point is, Freemasonry, from its earliest days in America, has been intertwined with the fabric of this nation. It's a complex history, full of contradictions and controversies, but one that deserves a closer look. After all, to understand America, you gotta understand the forces that shaped it. It's a complex history, full of contradictions and controversies, but one that deserves a closer look. After all, to understand America, you gotta understand the forces that shaped it. And Freemasonry? Well, it's been one heck of a force. From the construction of iconic buildings to the shaping of political thought, the Masons have left an indelible mark on the American landscape. Their legacy is one of mystery, influence, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge and community. And Freemasonry? Well, it's been one heck of a force. But before we continue to unravel these mysteries, subscribe to the Professors of Time channel and leave your like. If you want to contribute to the channel, Buy Amazon products using the link in the first pinned comment. Now, let's continue with the video and unravel Freemasonry versus Christianity, biblical insights. Now let's talk impact. Freemasonry, they didn't just sit around in their fancy aprons sipping tea and talking in code. These men were movers and shakers, deeply involved in the fabric of society. They were builders, not just of structures but of communities and ideals. These guys, they got stuff done. From laying down the first stones of new buildings to organizing community events, their hands were always busy. Remember that whole building a nation thing? Well, the Masons, they took it literally. Many of the founding fathers were Freemasons, and they brought their principles into the very foundation of the United States. Schools, hospitals, orphanages, you name it, they built it. They saw the need for these institutions and took it upon themselves to create them, often funding and managing these projects out of their own pockets. And it wasn't just bricks and mortar. They poured their energy into civic life too. They were often the ones leading community meetings, organizing local events, and ensuring that the civic machinery ran smoothly. Ever heard of public education? Yeah, the Masons were big on that. They believed that education was the cornerstone of a free and enlightened society, and they worked tirelessly to make it accessible to all. They believed in the power of knowledge, in giving everyone a fair shot. They organized lectures, built libraries, and promoted literacy at a time when education was a privilege, not a right. No wonder so many of them were involved in the American Revolution. They were fighting for a new kind of nation, one built on enlightenment and equality. Their ideals of liberty, fraternity, and equality were woven into the very fabric of the revolution. But their influence goes beyond politics and philanthropy. They were cultural icons, shaping the moral and ethical landscape of their time. Freemasonry, with its emphasis on morality, brotherly love, and self-improvement, it seeped into the culture. Their symbols and rituals became part of the American ethos, influencing everything from literature to architecture. Think about it, hard work, honesty, charity, those are Masonic values, but they're also American values. The Masons didn't just build structures, they built a culture of integrity and service. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's something more. Their symbols are subtly integrated into American architecture and society, a testament to their lasting influence. Look, I'm not saying the Masons single-handedly built America. That'd be a load of hogwash. But their contributions are undeniable. They were there, laying the groundwork both literally and figuratively. But to deny their influence, their contributions to society, that's just ignoring a big chunk of history. They were visionaries, dreamers, and doers, and their legacy is woven into the very fabric of the nation. They've been a part of the American story from the beginning, shaping it in ways both big and small. From the grand halls of government to the quiet corners of local communities, their presence is felt. And that's something worth remembering. Their story is a reminder of the power of collective effort and the enduring impact of shared values. Here's where things get a little sticky. The relationship between Freemasonry and Christianity is a topic that has sparked debates, controversies, and even divisions within the Christian community. We've talked about Freemasonry's history, its impact on society, and its mysterious allure. But now let's delve into how it intersects with religion, particularly Christianity. But what about its relationship with religion, specifically Christianity? This is where things get really interesting and, at times, quite contentious. Well, buckle up because that's one bumpy ride. The journey through the perspectives of various Christian denominations on Freemasonry is anything but smooth. See, different Christian denominations, they've got some strong opinions about the Masons. These opinions are deeply rooted in theological interpretations, historical contexts, and cultural influences. And those opinions, they don't always see eye to eye. In fact, the spectrum of views is as wide as it is varied, leading to passionate debates and sometimes even conflicts within the Christian community. Some churches, they welcome Masons with open arms. They see the fraternity's emphasis on morality, charity, and belief in a supreme being as perfectly compatible with Christian teachings. They see the group's emphasis on morality, charity, and belief in a supreme being as perfectly compatible with Christian teachings. These churches often highlight the positive contributions of Freemasons to society and their communities. In fact, they often point to the many devout Christians who have been members of the fraternity throughout history. These individuals are seen as exemplars of how one can be both a committed Christian and a dedicated Mason. To them, it's all good in the brotherhood. The values of brotherhood, charity, and moral uprightness are seen as complementary to Christian values. But then you've got other denominations who see things a little differently. They approach Freemasonry with a great deal of skepticism and caution. They look at the Masons' secret rituals, their oaths and allegories, and they get a little uneasy. The secrecy and the esoteric nature of some Masonic practices raise red flags for these denominations. Some even go so far as to call Freemasonry a false religion, claiming it promotes a different gospel, a different path to salvation. They argue that the teachings of Freemasonry are incompatible with the core tenets of Christianity. They point to the Masonic emphasis on good works, on earning your way to heaven, as evidence of this. For these critics, the idea of earning salvation through deeds is fundamentally at odds with the Christian doctrine of salvation by grace through faith. And it's not just about theology. The concerns extend to the practical and ethical implications of Masonic membership. Some critics, they raise concerns about the Masonic oath, claiming it requires a level of secrecy that's incompatible with Christian transparency. They worry that such secrecy could lead to divided loyalties or conflicts of interest. They argue that Christians shouldn't be sworn to any organization that could potentially put its own interests above those of God. The fear is that the Masonic commitment might overshadow or conflict with one's commitment to their faith. So, who's right? Well, that's a question for the ages. The debate is complex, with valid points on both sides, and it often boils down to individual interpretation and conviction. But one thing's for sure, the relationship between Freemasonry and Christianity is complex, nuanced, and often fraught with tension. It's a multifaceted issue that doesn't lend itself to easy answers or simple conclusions. It's a conversation that's been going on for centuries, and it's one that's likely to continue for many years to come. As long as both Freemasonry and Christianity exist, their relationship will remain a topic of intrigue, debate, and reflection. By the way, I invite you to also watch the video Ghosts, Real or Just a Myth. The link is in the first pinned comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the Professors of Time channel, and leave your like and suggestions in the comments for the next videos, and see you next time.